That's bold. I don't know what color that is.
I'm kind of colorblind. What color is that?
I can't see that.
No, you can see. No, you can see that color though.
You can't miss that color. It's Miles Turner and the Pacers getting ready to take on Gordon Hayward and the Boston Celtics. First playoff game as a Celtic for both Hayward and Kyrie Irving. Game 1 coming up on TNT.
You still haven't figured out what color it is?
Hey, don't let them come between us, Miles. Don't let them come between us, Miles.
Is it mustard?
It's greener than mustard. I don't know.
I'm really colorblind. I really don't know.
It was bright.
I know it's bright. I don't know what color it is.
Neon?
I don't know. Matt,
I don't.
You don't know?
Chartreuse? I don't know.
I don't even know what color that is. Quite frankly, I think you made that up.
It's a bright green. No, I didn't. I didn't make that up. That's Bredan Haywood. That's Grant Hill. I'm Matt Weiner. We're not colorblind, but we still couldn't tell you exactly what color that was. 4 playoff games today, starting with Game 1 of the Celtics and Pacers on TNT at the top of the hour. Are we going to see more road wins today? 3 of the 4 road teams, the lower-seeded teams, took day 1.
Yeah, it's a possibility. I do think the fact that the 3 teams yesterday won, I think the home teams now are definitely aware and certainly will come out with a sense of urgency. But it's the NBA playoffs, and you never know. It could happen. This first matchup very well could happen. A road victory. I like this Indiana team, but we'll see.
Yeah, it definitely could happen, and we saw a lot of things that we didn't think would happen. Like Orlando was the biggest shocker to me yesterday. Mm-hmm. Orlando beating Toronto in Toronto, that was one of the biggest shockers. So when a team like Orlando can beat Toronto, then I could definitely see Indiana possibly beating the Pacers, especially the Pacers. A team like Indiana beating Boston, because Boston's kind of been up and down this season. Sometimes the role definitions aren't quite clear. You get into a playoff series and a team gets to struggle, some guys start playing out of their roles, certain things can happen. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out.
We got 4 Game 1s today, starting in about an hour on TNT with the Pacers and Boston in the West. It's OKC and the Portland Trail Blazers. Pistons, Bucks, the 1-8 series in the East, and later on it's the Jazz and Rockets. We start, though, in Boston. Here's Brad Stevens on leaving the rocky regular season behind.
Every team goes through challenges and ups and downs. I've always said that if you're a really good team in this league, we're a 4 seed in the playoffs and we lost 33 times. Like, you're going to lose a lot throughout the course of an NBA season. Even the Bucks lost 20 some odd times and we're the number 1 seed by far, right? So you're going to go through ups and downs, and ultimately it's how you respond to those things, and that gets magnified in the playoffs. I just think it gets magnified in the game and it gets magnified after the game. These games are long. These series are long. You don't win or lose them quickly. You have to play it possession by possession, and you have to focus on the task at hand. That's a great challenge, but that's the fun part of it, too.
Brad, in late game situations, how has your relationship with Kyrie evolved throughout the season?
I don't know. I feel like it's been pretty good the whole time. I mean, he's been pretty darn good in late game situations.
No question. Just is it a give and take?
And then I don't have to do anything, which is good.
Is that how it goes?
I think that's way better for our team, if I can just stay out of the way. No, I mean, we try our best to give him as much space as possible. Listen, he's going to draw a lot of attention. He's not always going to be able to, or it's not always the right move to be the guy that scores. He's going to have to just make those right plays. He's going to get blitzed. He's going to get trapped. He's going to get doubled. And the thing about him all year long is he's made the right play. And so I think our challenge is always giving him the appropriate amount of space, deciding whether to bring 2 to the ball or not. And then, that's the benefit of guys at this level. And the very, very best guys only need a step, or they only need a little bit of space. And so just try to figure out how to do that.
Brad, from the beginning of the year to now, how would you characterize Gordon Hayward's progress, and how excited do you think he is to get to the playoffs now?
Yeah, he's made great progress, and I know he's excited, but listen, he did a lot of good things at the start of the year. Obviously was operating, under a microscope as we were all watching him kind of come back. But obviously at the end of the year, we said all year, game 20 is going to be better than game 1. Game 40 is going to be better than 20, 60 better than 40, and 80 is going to be better than all of them. And that was the case. I mean, he's more comfortable. It was not just a matter of getting physically back. It was a matter of getting comfortable in how we play. and figuring out how he fits with everybody else.
When the lineup decision does come out, how much of it weighs maintaining the rotations that you guys have had as of late, as in keeping Jalen and Gordon coming off the bench, or is it purely based on matchup or
It feels
based
like a
on
way
practice?
to get to at least a 50% decision.
So I can explain when the decision comes out.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I'm not that smart. I'm not that smart. We'll just start 5 and figure it out.
You got to love the back and forth with the reporters as they try to figure out exactly what the coach is going to do. Kyrie Irving said everything else in terms of what has happened and transpired during the regular season goes out the window when it comes to the playoffs. This will be his first playoff game since Game 5 of the 17 finals. For him and for the Celtics, this whole rocky road, how much of this is left behind now with Game 1?
I can't say everything's left behind, because what the regular season does is it prepares you for the playoffs. You build off of it. Your habits that you build, you take that into the playoffs. So if you have good habits, you'll be taking that into the playoffs. If you have bad habits, you'll be taking those into the playoffs. So I can't say that the regular season doesn't matter, or once you get to the playoffs, it's a whole new ball game. The game definitely changes, but how you've prepared definitely impacts how you play in the playoffs.
Yeah, Brendan, you make a good point. I think if this team in this core was the same team as last year, then maybe you could, in a way, say, okay, you know what, they can flip the switch. Or if a team has won.
Right.
We've seen examples where teams have won. Some of the Cavs teams, you played on those Cavs teams. Golden State, there's a confidence there that they have the ability to flip that switch. Mm-hmm. One, this team is still trying to get to that level. They're trying to get to that championship level. They got close last year, but came up short. And, all the pieces are different roles. And we always kind of thought at the start of the season, by this point, they would have figured it out. They really kind of haven't figured it out to the level that we thought, or the expectation level going into this season. So, yeah, I don't think that you can just flip the switch and expect everything to be okay. There's still going to be that residue from the regular season carried into the postseason. I think they can potentially gain confidence if they start playing well, take care of business against Indiana, and move on. But those issues that have been there, they will continue to be there, in my opinion.
Well, Boston has won 6 of 8 to close out the regular season, but the rotation's going to change because of Marcus Smart's absence. He had the oblique injury a week ago. He's expected to miss at least the first round, likely the second round if Boston were to advance that far. But Danny Ainge said something interesting, a guy who's not only been through a bunch of playoff series as a player, but as an executive as well, is that come postseason time, guys generally come together a little better and are more willing to accept whatever role the coach assigns them. Can that happen that quickly?
Yeah, I think there's truth to that. I think if you went into the regular season this year, you had a lot of players who were forced or asked to do more in the postseason last season and stepped up. And then you had some good players coming back. You had some injuries. And so there was just a lot of sort of let me establish who I am. Mm-hmm. And the role definition was not quite clear. I think, Brad Stevens has tightened his rotation. He tightened it down to 9, I believe. This is before Marcus Smart got hurt. So will it be at 8 now, which is probably a good number, 8 or 9, as you start to, embark on this journey in the postseason. But yeah, I think now it's about trying to win, and it's about trying to, advance and get to the, get ultimately to the finals. And so, in theory, yes, you can accept your roles. The question is, will it work? And that remains to be seen.
Hey, G. Hill, in theory, yes, sometimes you can accept your role, but we know theory sometimes don't work when we talk about players and their personalities and their situations. Hey, if you're not happy with your role and you haven't got paid yet, guess what? I don't care what the theory says or what Danny Ainge is talking about, you're not going to be happy. Or if you're somebody that's trying to be established as an all-star, you're not going to be happy with your role. So sometimes it works out. A lot of times that's why they like to have good veterans on teams to help guys with their roles, or guys that have already gotten paid and they're on the back half of their career. They say, hey, we just want to win. But sometimes winning, I've learned that most NBA players want to win their way, especially when they're young. They want to win. Everybody wants to win, but they want to win their way, and they might not be willing to accept certain roles. I hope this team doesn't fall into that, because they have a lot of talent, and they have a lot of guys that haven't been paid. And at times when you watch this team, they look disjointed because the roles aren't clearly defined. And so they're definitely going to miss Marcus Smart. He gives them that toughness, that grit, that two-way guy. He's improved his shot a lot, and defensively we know he's top-notch. So they're going to miss him, and it's going to be interesting to see how they blend certain guys.
Interesting to see also if the specter of the summer upcoming with all the free agents on this roster, Al Horford can opt out. Everyone talks about Kyrie Irving, obviously. If that hangs over this playoff series, as well for the Celtics. They also made a lineup change late in the season with Aaron Baines becoming the starter. Who knows? Brad Stevens not tipping his hand for today, but what has that done for Boston?
It just gives you another guy that we just talked about role definition. Baines is a guy that knows his role. He might not be as talented as some of the guys that are behind him on the bench, but he's a guy that knows what he's supposed to do. He's not going to play outside of his role. He also gives you a toughness, a presence inside that paint, and you need that. And he's another guy that's improved his offense as well. He's not going to go out there and wow you with his offense, but you just can't leave him open either. So I think every team sometimes needs guys like that, guys that say, hey, I know what I'm out here to do. I'm not out here to score. I'm not out here trying to get 40 or 50 points. I'm just going to play my role. I think that helps.
Yeah, it helps big time. I mean, obviously, as you say, he's a dirty work guy, but it also helps the other guys. It helps a guy like Al Horford.
Mm-hmm.
Al Horford could go against smaller power forwards and take advantage of his size as opposed to banging against centers, which he had to do most of the season. And the chemistry that those two have on the court together, that is a holdover, I think, from last year. So as Baines is sort of rounding into form, it certainly looks good. I like putting him in the lineup. He has a role. He understands what his role is, but Al Horford plays well off of it, and Al can expose those mismatches in the post and, of course, outside on the perimeter as well.
Celtics were the number 6 defense in the NBA in the regular season. The Pacers were number 3, though not nearly as good since Victor Oladipo left the lineup. Remember, he ruptured the right quad tendon in his knee in January. He had surgery on January 28th. The Pacers were 16-19 down the stretch in his absence, playing basically net zero hoops. And obviously, if you're a Pacers fan, you'd love to have Oladipo in the lineup, but without him, what kind of margin for error does Indiana have on both ends of the floor?
It's very slim. I mean, Oladipo is that guy, that closer for Indiana, much like Kyrie Irving has been, or even Jason Tatum at times was last year in the postseason for Boston. But it's a collective effort. And I think during that time, if there's any positives that have come out of that for Indiana, 7 players are averaging between 8 and 14 points. So it's not going to be one guy, although Bogdanovich has been sensational as of late. But collectively as a team, playing together, stepping up, which is hard because I do think you get to know each other in the postseason. You can take away first, second option. A lot of times you need that guy or two who can go get you a basket. And Indiana really doesn't have that guy with the current lineup that they have right now.
Yeah, and I think you hit it right on the head. It can't be one guy saying, oh, I'm going to take it all on my shoulders and I'm going to try to emulate and beat Victor Oladipo. I think they've done a good job since he's went down of everybody stepping their play up a little bit. And whether it's Miles Turner or whoever, they just find a way to step up and collectively they play better as a unit. You have to give this coaching staff and Nate McMillan a lot of credit. They did not allow this team to feel sorry for themselves and just say, oh, our best player's out and we're going to drift away. No, they've continued to thrive. They've played good, very good basketball. And I think we're going to see them play very well in this series because it's not like it's a fresh injury to Victor Oladipo. So it's not like guys are trying to figure out the day before the playoffs, how do I adapt? They've been without him for a couple months now. So they understand, hey, these are our roles. This is what we're going to do. And collectively as a unit, they've all raised their game and stepped up.
Could it be like last year when Boston, when Kyrie was out?
Yeah.
And they figured out how to play without him?
That's right.
Nice run.
Yes. I could definitely see that happen.
We'll find out soon enough. Boston took 3 of 4 in the regular season. Game 1 of the postseason begins this afternoon on TNT. 3 more series to cover before tip-off at 1 Eastern Time. The Rockets came 1 win shy of the finals last season. Step 1 of their journey this spring begins today with the Jazz. And like James Harden, Giannis Antetokounmpo can do no more about the MVP race. Those ballots are cast. But he can get Milwaukee started on a finals run beginning today.